we wanted to talk to you about an event that we recently went to and how much fun we had as a family. So why don't you talk to them about what you learned first?
You mean what you dragged me to?
I drug him. Yes, I did.
So a number of weeks ago, we saw Tony Robbins in our clinic. If you go to my Facebook page, Dr. Daniel Amen, you can actually see the interview that I did with Tony.
You have to talk into the microphone too. Sorry, we're also recording for something else.
He had mercury poisoning and came and got a scan, and it was very helpful for him, and I was so grateful. He did a live chat with us, and he said some really powerful things like, how do you know unless you look? And don't wait. Now's the time.
Right.
If you're concerned about your brain, don't wait. And then he invited us to any of his events.
So I have to say, I've been to pretty much all of them. So I've been following his work for a long time because before I knew about you, and before I ever met you, going through a really hard time in my life, someone had given me a set of his tapes, Personal Power, many years ago when I was really depressed. And they helped because it was like, okay, if you do these things, you know, change the way you think, change the way that you focus on where your focus goes, your energy flows. So focus on gratitude. Get up first thing in the morning, move your body, do deep breathing. It was like sort of practical, logical stuff. And it worked. It really helped me get out of a slump. So I've always been a fan. And so meeting him was, I'm not starstruck. I actually could care. We see a lot of, you know, very interesting people in our clinics. And I'm not really starstruck at all. But when I knew he was coming, I'm like, I have to meet him. Because his work made a difference. And I know it makes a difference for a lot of people. So when he came in, it was really fun. And but because I have been to the events... and I drug you to one small part of one event, and there was a lot of jumping and a lot of screaming.
I'm not a jumper
or a screamer. Jumping and screaming are not his.
You know, it's
right.
like seriously.
So very loud rock music, lots of jumping.
Well, so we went to Unleash the Power Within in New York and Newark at the Prudential Center. There's 14,000 people. And because we're one of his special guests, we are up front. I still have hearing problems secondary. It's sort of like going to Justin Bieber with all the girls screaming, but not for 2 hours. It was like 4 days.
Of like 12 to 14 hour days. So it's no breaks.
Insane.
Right.
But the level of information was really powerful, and we want to share with you some of the important lessons that we learned, and some actually extremely valuable to me. And I understood the jumping.
Right.
And the loud music and the clapping and
I think you also began to appreciate why I liked it so much as well. And that was fun for me. It was a great family experience to do it as a family. So not going this time around because I was in pain. I mean, the first time I heard his work, I was in pain. This time I was in a very, very much a place of joy, but sharing it with Chloe, you know, our 13-year-old, and you and us going as a family.
Chloe just loved it.
Right.
It was amazing. So imagine a rock concert that goes on for days, sort of also like a church service. I mean, there's an altar call to be your best and highest self. Group therapy, there are a lot of group exercises with a lot of cursing. So rock concert, church, group therapy, and cursing.
Right.
But I think the cursing was actually very strategic.
It was.
To shock you out of your normal state of being. So if you want to generate energy, you have to move. And
right.
One of the big things that he talked about, movement creates motion, creates emotion, and that creates energy. So that's lesson number one. You got to get off your butt and get going and find the music you love.
Am I too far from you?
You are too far.
I know. I feel like I'm like way far away from you. Okay, go ahead.
So that's number one. Move. and do it with music, because music actually turns on or off, depending what you're listening to, but it turns on your brain and helps you learn
Well,
better.
and yeah, that's it. The big part of it is because he makes this point that, you know, the reason kids don't learn very well, we tell them to go in, be quiet, sit down, don't move. And that's not how people learn best. People learn best when they're active. And so that's another big part of it. So that was really fun. I loved it. I loved seeing you guys be able to share in something that was, you know, worked really well for me. Our 13-year-old Chloe took 20 pages of handwritten notes. In fact, she refused to use the notebook they gave her because she wanted to hand write everything. So that was really fun to see her really getting so much out of it. Coming home, well, actually, back up for a minute. While we were there, he said several things. And having my daughter look at me and go, oh my gosh, I understand you so much more now. See, I've been doing this work for many years, not just his work, but work in general on myself for many, many years. So to have her look at me and go, I understand you so much better now. You make sense to me now. Because, you know, I get teased all the time by both of you, actually. but, you know, for being sort of the way I am. She would get upset with me sometimes.
Well, I married you, so obviously I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. But in a loving way, I get teased sometimes. You know, like we all do, for being the way we are. So, but certain things my daughter never understood. In fact, sometimes it frustrates her because...
Do you have an example?
Yes. So, I'm always the person to jump in. Like you always say, I'd be the person to run into a fire instead of run out. That's kind of me.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm running away by it's hot.
Right, but I'm not.
She is the emergency room person. She's the neurosurgical ICU nurse person.
Right.
If we have a pit bull running toward us, she's going to get in front of the pit bull and start screaming at it.
Okay, well that might not have been a good example. But like we went river rafting and, you know, I'm looking around at the people that are getting on the boat and they admitted, no, everyone says I've not been on a raft before. And I'm like, well, neither have I. I'm going to be the first one to jump up and say, I'm going to do this because I just have a certain amount of faith in my ability more than I have in other people's. So, but after going to this event, Chloe actually was able to stop and appreciate that because what they really, like you said, the altar call is to be your highest self, to constantly be bringing out your strongest qualities. Now, if there's someone there who knows more than I do, I'm taking a back seat, right? But it really brings out that confidence, and that was really fun to see. And so that was one of the things for me. The other one was the pattern interrupts, right? So we get home and Chloe had this issue with someone in the family. She was like, you know, being kind of like she was irritated with somebody in the family. Normally, she would have given into her own teenage kind of, you know, ish temper tantrum
Mopey.
type of, right, whatever, or been irritable and she might have snapped. She's not really a victim. She'd snap. Instead, she looked at me and she started laughing. She goes, I'm going to create a pattern interrupt. And it just cracked me up because he's classic for creating pattern interrupts.
Explain that.
So what a pattern interrupt is anything you do that interrupts what someone is doing. So let's say someone is they're yelling at you. They're angry. And all of a sudden you do something to make them laugh. So you make a funny face and you just like, you know, la 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 la, whatever. You start doing it. Now in karate we use pattern interrupts. They're a little different, right? You're not going to punch someone in the face. That's a pattern interrupt too. But that's a different kind of pattern interrupt, right? So
as a psychiatrist for a long time, I've had a technique. I call it the bathroom
right.
technique, which is, you know, someone's going on and it's not going to stop. They're really stuck on something. And I have to say, tell them you have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Because just going away for 4 or 5 minutes, their brain can shift and they can go, you know, I don't remember why I was so upset.
Right.
So that can really be a game changer.
So that was fun to see her come home and all of a sudden she's using pattern interrupts on people. That was
we're
really
talking
cool.
about motivation and energy. And we gave them one,
right.
which is motion equals emotion, which will give you more energy. I mean, Tony Robbins literally went straight for 12 hours.
Right.
I'd never seen anything like it. I'm the Energizer Bunny and can lecture for a long time. I like this is like unbelievable.
Well, and we had, what was odd to me, I mean, I'm one of those people who needs to be in bed by 9. Like, by 6, I'm like, I'm not a night person. But Chloe and I both, and I've done this before, we were like blown away. We couldn't go to sleep after we left because we found at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, we had more energy than we did earlier in the day. Like, your energy keeps building, and that's a little weird, right? For someone who's not a night person.
But it goes with motion.
And the hydration and the, you know.
The second thing I thought was just really critical was writing down your top 3 limiting beliefs. What are those things that get in your way? What are the really false beliefs that are hurting you? And one of mine, I just turned 63, is I'm getting older. And he does this cool process about it, but basically you take the thought and you flip it.
Right.
To the opposite.
I love this.
And the opposite thought for me is I'm in the prime of my life. Now, a lot of people wouldn't say that at 63, but I absolutely don't want to be 23 again and have to go to medical school and do a residency and start a business. And quite frankly, I don't want to be 43. I'm really happy with what I've accomplished. I want to accomplish a whole lot more. But the idea was I am in the prime of my life, and no matter what your age is, if you can get that mindset, it will so help you with your energy. It was really
powerful, yeah. And it's funny because even though we spend our days mentoring, we spend our days helping people, I realized that going to something like this, mentors need mentors, and it's like cleaning your house, right? You can't just clean it once, you need to occasionally go back and re-clean it, right? So it was really powerful to go because over time I realized, some of my old thinking was actually just starting to creep back in that I hadn't, and it was insidious. I didn't even realize it because mostly my life is awesome. I know that it's awesome. But all of a sudden when I did this exercise, I realized there were 1 or 2 thoughts in there that were really potentially really toxic and I didn't even notice they were coming back in. Like for me, my turnaround, my thought was, I focus on health so much, correct? On living a healthy lifestyle. I didn't even realize that the thought creeping back in was, I had turned it into a fear-based thought. So I had turned it into, I can't get sick because if I do, I'll leave Chloe without a mom. Now, yes, that keeps me motivated to do the right thing. But notice how, you get what you focus on even if what you're focusing on is what you don't want. Okay, so that was what was scary to me when I didn't even realize I was doing it. So that was really powerful. So I turned that around into, that's a limiting belief. So I turned that around into something really positive, right? I am vibrant. I am healthy. I focus on being healthy and vibrant and strong, and I'm a warrior. And oh, by the way, I've raised a really great, strong daughter who is also a warrior, right? So, I was able to turn that around into something really powerful. But if you're not vigilant, you have to be careful because those thoughts can easily sort of get tweaked.
They can, and thoughts matter a lot. Another thing that came up was the words you use. So are you using empowering words like I am a force for good? Or are you using anxious words, depressing words, frustration words in your moment by moment thought process? So I actually like the affirmations that we would chant. Yeah. I am a force for good.
Right. Now I am the voice. Step
now
up.
I am the voice. Step up. So we hope you use these tools. And I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins. I think you should check out his work. If you've never been to any of his events, start with Unleash the Power Within. I know your favorite event is Date with Destiny,
no doubt. But for a teenager, I think UPW, Unleash the Power Within, is really great. And quite honestly, this is an age where I'm watching it. I'm watching my daughter's friends sort of, this is the age where they make the decision to go sideways or not. And I think it's just one of the best gifts she came home just like astounded, right? She's got Tony Robbins on her vision board now. So, she doesn't even have Justin Bieber on her vision board. She's got Tony Robbins on her vision board. That's a big deal. So that's really cool, because what that shows is that she's focused on how her thoughts affect her, right?
Right. So move, eliminate your limiting beliefs, and, write them down, and then challenge them, turn them around, and then be very cautious of the words you allow in your mind. And whatever you want, create a series of affirmations. I am the voice, step up, I am a force for good. That'll help you so much.
Take care. See you guys later.